Again, welcome. Glad to see you here. First, I'd like to talk with you a bit about what's happened with our nation's housing, our demand and supply perspective on that. I think it's well documented that we have a serious supply shorting of housing, about 4 million homes short, as I understand it. At the same time, the current administration has championed these de facto subsidies like tax credits, down payment assistance, and looser lending policies, which obviously will stimulate demand, but at the same time, have they pursued various regulatory policies that have had the effect of constraining supply. And we all know what happens when you constrain supply and you stimulate demand, prices go up. So we've seen massive inflation, not only in the cost of homes, but in rent. And I think that's been a big driver of the inflation that we suffered. So I really want to understand how you're thinking about affordability of housing and supply of housing in the context of this supply and demand dynamic.
Thank you, Senator Haggerty. It's great to see you again. And yes, you know, we do have a affordability crisis. Regulatory reform, both from the federal government and the state government, is much needed. We want to make it more flexible and easier for developers to build affordable workforce attainable housing across our country. And so if confirmed by this committee, one thing that I want to do, which is top priority, is look at all the regulatory burdens from the federal side and also to work with localities and states to see how we can ease those burdens so developers can build and so that the supply goes up as the demand goes up, because right now we're not meeting that demand. Yeah,
I want to come back to the state and local component in just a minute, but on the federal side, if you think about the federal interventions that have taken place I think the intention has been to stimulate affordable housing. Have they had the desired effect in your mind?
Well, right now it doesn't seem as if they have, because we have a crisis in our country. We've had record funding from HUD as it pertains to affordable housing, but yet we're still not meeting the need of those that need. We have waiting lists when it comes to affordable housing. So I think we need to take a deep dive and fresh look at the programs in HUD and also working with the local governments to see how we can ease this burden because we have families that are hurting that need affordable housing.
I think we all share the same concern, and I look forward to working with you on that regard, particularly at the federal level. To go to the state and local level for a moment, I'd like to just share one of my experiences. Before I went into the previous Trump administration as ambassador to Japan, I served as, in effect, the Commerce Secretary of Tennessee. I ran the Department of Economic and Community Development. One of the areas that I was responsible for in that department was administering community development block grants. And this is just an example of an opportunity I see at HUD, because I went through a major streamlining process. Tennessee had a budget deficit of about $1.6 billion, so I went through my department and did a streamlining process that eliminated a very large number of positions in the department. That streamlining yielded much more efficient operations, and Tennessee began to thrive after we went through that reorganization. But one aspect of that was the elimination and streamlining of the division that administered the CDBG grants. Mm-hmm. And we were later forced by HUD to reinstate those positions. So rather than look at Tennessee and say, look, this is an opportunity to congratulate greater efficiency and streamlining, maybe use that as what we call a best observed practice across other states and bring more efficiency to bear. Something is wrong at HUD, whether it's regulatory or whether it's just a governance demeanor there that doesn't aim at these sorts of opportunities. You've had experience, certainly in the state legislative level and at the White House. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how we might get at greater efficiency there, and I know we'd all like to work with you here on this committee to support that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And you know, efficiency is key. Efficiency, transparency, accountability, and if confirmed by you and your colleagues on the committee, I do commit to going into HUD and taking an inventory, taking an assessment of all the processes, all of the programs, to see what's duplicative, what's working, what's not working, and streamlining those things so that we can be more efficient, because our number one job is to serve the American people that are the most vulnerable, low income, moderate income people in our country as it pertains to housing, homelessness, disaster recovery, and those three areas are of utmost importance to the mission. So efficiency is the key so that we can better do that. I commit to you to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.